Every thought deserves its moment. This is Overthinking Out Loud. Grab a drink, lean in, and let's overthink it together. Out loud.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Overthinking Out Loud. Last week, we were talking a little bit about dating and relationships.
Yes.
And I guess it was last time, I guess I should say, we were talking about dating and relationships and kind of the trials and tribulations of figuring out dating situations and what we've learned over time.
Yep.
So for anyone who didn't listen to that episode, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But no. But it does provide some context for this next conversation. It's really, this is kind of like a part 2, and it's more about our current relationships and how we got into them, how long we've been with our partners, as we're both married to people who are related to each other. Yeah. And we both had pretty long relationships. Yeah. So kind of just we wanted to share what that's been like for us.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if you haven't listened to the first part, listen to our sad dating experiences.
Or not. I don't know. Maybe you think they're cool. I don't know.
Also, there is a fly.
Yeah. That's all right. They're friends. So we're friends.
Yeah, he's part of this now.
Yes.
So.
He's the third on the podcast.
Yeah, you might see him.
Yeah. You might just see him buzzing around.
Lands on the camera. Is there the whole time.
What should we call him?
Yeah. Ooh. Buzz.
Buzz the fly. Ooh.
Buzz.
Yeah, we'll call him Buzz. There's Buzz.
Buzz Lightyear, Buzz from Home Alone, whichever one you want to.
Yeah.
Whichever one you want to vibe with.
Yeah, whatever you resonate with.
Yeah.
Depends on your age.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so yeah, I don't even know where to start. I think last time we kind of left it off as everything leading up to
now
meeting our partners.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll go first, kind of just sharing my
how
experience.
You met.
Yeah, so my husband and I met in the restaurant industry. We worked together for several years, actually, just as coworkers. Yeah. Because we were just, I truthfully, the minute he started there, I was like, oh, that guy's cute. But I was like, that guy's so far out of my league. It's not even funny. I straight up was just there's no way this guy would ever think that I was who would ever be into me. That goes to show you where my level of confidence was back then. So I was just this guy is never going to be into me. And we just worked together for 3 years, but I always had a crush on him.
Yeah.
And one day, 3 years into working together, he asked me to hang out. And I was just yeah, for sure. You can hang out with me and my sisters. Thinking he was just trying to casually hang out as friends. I thought he had a girlfriend and they had been broken up for a couple months at this point, and I just didn't know.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, for sure. I'd love to see a movie with you and my sisters. And so that actually never came to fruition. We just never saw the movie. But then because we didn't see the movie, he asked me a couple weeks later, oh, do you want to do dinner? I was like, yeah, for sure. You can come over and do dinner with me and my sisters.
And he's why does she keep inviting her sisters?
He's why do you keep inviting people into this? What the heck? And he was so nice about it. He never said anything. He literally came and ate dinner at the house. And I still thought that we were just friends. I had no clue he was into me. He was too subtle about it. He was too subtle about his interest in me. The whole thing where you're just I thought you knew that I was into you. And I'm huh?
Yeah, you're I'm sorry, how? Yeah. Give me the times where you gave me some sort of wink.
Yeah, right. I'm I did not know this at all.
Sorry, I need a neon sign,
yeah,
all right?
Yeah, you need to spell this out for me because I've had a lot of issues in the past of being into guys that were not into me.
I need you to tell it to me straight.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, everything was fine. And then I turned 21 and I just casually invited him to come out to Old Town because 21, go out to Old Town to the clubs. And so he met us out at Old Town. He was still working at the restaurant that night, and he closed up the bar and came out late. It was almost midnight.
Wow.
When he met up with us. And my oldest sister turned to me and was like, dude, this guy's into you.
Yeah.
Nobody just like goes this far out of their way to hang out with a friend.
Yeah.
Like he is attracted to you.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no friggin' way. But that was the night where I was like, maybe I should start paying attention.
Yeah.
And so the night went on, we hung out, whatever. And like, he was just like the sweetest little gentleman. I don't even know how else to describe it. Like we jumped into our relationship.
Yeah.
And I'd say like I knew that night on my 21st birthday that like he was completely different than any guy I'd ever like hung out with or been interested in.
Right.
And this is why. Because at the end of the night, we had a hotel room in Old Town. We all go back to the hotel room. Like everyone was just like crashing everywhere. It was like a big suite. Everybody was just like, we're just going to find a surface and sleep.
Yeah.
And we like shared a bed, but nothing happened at all. He literally was like, I'd love to share a song with you. Like, it's like one of my favorite songs. Like, here, let me give you an earbud. He gave me an earbud and he starts playing this. I'm going to totally like ruin their name, but Sigur Rós. Like, okay. I cannot say the same. It's like spin. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I feel bad that I like can't. They're Icelandic, and so the song is like in a different language. But it's Svengenglar. It's like one of their most famous songs, and it's like this beautiful, beautiful song. Anyway, so like I fell asleep listening to that song, like literally just like laying next to him. Aww. And then the next morning, I was wildly hungover. He drove me to breakfast. He like gave me his sunglasses because I had such a bad headache in the sun. He like bought me breakfast that morning, carted me home, and then just like immediately was like texting me to hang out again. And I was like, wow, that was like not one of my finest moments. It was my 21st birthday. I drank too much. That freaking fly.
Buzz, you want to come say hi?
Yeah, Buzz, get it together. I'm trying to tell a story here.
You thought my rose was real.
Yeah. Poor guy. He's confused.
Sorry.
But yeah, so I think that was like, I was like, oh, in short, like he's trying to get in my pants.
Yeah.
Like he's not like mad that nothing happened. He wants to continue hanging out with me.
He liked you as a human being.
He liked me as a human being.
Yeah.
And like fast forward a couple weeks later, we like hung out again on Halloween and like it just kind of like the next day we were like, so are we together?
Yeah.
Like, do you want to be together? Do you want to like be in a relationship? Like, it was like a very like straightforward. We both were just like, so what is this? And we were like, well, we want to be together. Aww. And we were immediately together after that. And I was so bold that I invited him to Vegas with my entire family. Not even like a month into dating him. Like we went 0 to a billion really awesome. Fast. And my family, I think, was like a little bit weirded out by it. My sisters knew him because they worked with him at this restaurant. So they were familiar with him. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure like my whole family and all my friends were like, who is this guy? Why is he on our like close family friend trip? This is weird. And I was just like, I was clueless. I was like, this guy's great. Like, I'm having a blast.
You're like, this is perfect. All my loved ones are here. What are you talking about?
And I think like because I had never been, so he is my one and only serious relationship.
Yeah.
I, like I said, had, again, listen to the last episode. I had some failures of dating. But yeah, this is my first very serious relationship. And I think like part of going into it so fast was just that I didn't know whether or not there was like a process for things like this. I didn't know what it was supposed to be like. I had nothing to compare it to.
Sure.
And so we just became very serious very quickly.
Yeah. And
like we've been together ever since. And it was just like I knew. And it's funny because I've asked him like, did you ever have a moment where you just knew? And he's like, not really.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. It's just like things just happen. And like, that's not to say that he's not like a romantic guy.
Yeah, he's just like, it's been great.
Yeah, he was just like, I don't know. It's just like everything just happened and it felt right. And I was like, but there was no like moment. And he's like, I know you're like looking for something, but really like it just all of it, I guess, was the moment.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's fair enough.
Fair enough.
But for me, for sure, I was like, yes, I know that like this is somebody I want to be with.
Yeah.
And I think I had like questions in the first couple of years we were together. I had one or two moments where I felt confused because I had nothing to compare our relationship to. And while I felt really happy in the relationship and really secure in our relationship, I just didn't. I was like, am I supposed to feel this way? Like, is this like how it feels to be in like a really healthy, secure relationship?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of like questioning myself and then just really, truly having to tell myself, like, you are overthinking this and you are going to think yourself out of a relationship otherwise because you are happy. You're legitimately happy and content. Like, a relationship does not have to be a roller coaster, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really interesting for me not having that like prior experience. But I definitely had that moment of knowing for sure, like, this guy's very different than any guy I've ever been with.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have that moment where you're just like, this is different. But I could see, like, you know, going through that mindset of like, shoot, like, I don't know anything else. Like, am I feeling, is that true? Is it just like because it's different or like because of all these things? But you really have to, like, that's the exact same thing, like, is what I think is really healthy is like just asking yourself, am I happy? Point blank, period.
Yeah.
Am I happy?
That's so important because it's so easy. Like, we see these rom-coms and we read these books and we hear these stories about like all of, you know, any other people's interpretations of what love and relationships should be and what it's like to fall in love or what it's like to be in a relationship. And it's so easy to just get stuck in
other
like,
people's like perceptions of what it should have been or what it should be.
Yeah. And I don't mean this in like a relationships suck kind of way. I really truly just mean like point blank, like, your relationship is almost never going to be like one in the movies or one in the books. Like, it's fiction for a reason. You're going to have moments where you're like, that is so cute and stuff, but it's just different.
It's different.
It's a different kind of feeling, I'd say. And it's really like hard for me to describe it. But yeah, I mean, I had a lot of like, I think for him, right? My husband had only had serious relationships prior to me. He'd had a couple serious like long-term relationships before me. And so he kind of like, I think like that helped him kind of be like, yeah, for sure, this is like the real deal. Like, this is somebody I want to be with long-term and want to spend my life with. But I very much was like, I definitely feel that. But I just don't I just have to trust myself. I have to trust this feeling and continue with it because if I start thinking about like, oh, I don't know, like
all the what ifs,
I don't have any experience in long-term relationships.
Right.
How do I know? It's going to go downhill real fast.
Well, yeah. And then it's also like your experience and what you went through is totally different than somebody else's experience that they're going to go through. And like, yes, you could have from the outside been like, you really rushed into it. It's like, but like, you weren't me. You're not part of this relationship. You have no idea how I'm feeling or how he's feeling or how we're feeling. Like, you have no idea. So it's like, yes, you could say that, but like at the same time, it's like, who cares? Like at the same, like to me, it's like people, they're rushing into it. Like that to me is like such a stupid fucking thing to say because like, you're going to figure it out. Like, rush into it, be together, doesn't work out, you're gonna fucking figure it out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna figure out if it's like, ooh, okay, no, we were good until we weren't. Okay, I'm out. Or like, I'm just gonna do this because it feels right and I'm gonna trust myself and we're gonna continue forward. Like, you just have to be able to, like, people need to trust other people and like who just like trust themselves.
Yeah. And like, the thing is, when I had dated around before, I always felt so insecure and so unsure and so like, what is this and what's happening and how does this person feel about me? And I never had to guess. With my husband. Like, I never had to guess with him. He made his intentions very clear. I mean, after my birthday, because before that I was like, what? Like, I was just clueless. But like, no, like, he was very clear about how he felt about me. He was very like caring from the start. I never had to guess whether or not he like wanted to be in a relationship or not. Like, he straight up was like, yeah, let's do this. He told me he loved me first.
Oh.
Yeah, he was very much like communicative and like very like
and that's what you needed in order to like Like he recognized that the person who you were and the things that you needed in order to continue the relationship that you guys have now. You know what I mean? Like you have to learn each other and you have to know like what the other person needs. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
So like the fact that he realized it before you realized it is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. I was like, I think I know what he's gonna say. I think I know. I know what he's gonna say.
Yeah.
And but we've had our fair share of stuff. But I want to like hear your husband's story and like kind of how that worked out.
It's so like
did you have a moment of knowing? Because
No.
like, I don't think that that's necessary. By the way, that is not
No,
necessary,
it's not necessary
in a relationship to be like, I know, like this is the thing. Like,
no, straight up, absolutely not. Like I was not looking by any means. We were both in relationships at the time that we met each other. So like he was in a long-term relationship. I was in my longest term relationship, obviously. He's only had long-term relationships. Same with me. And so like he has had more of them versus me. It's just the one. But it's like I wasn't looking. I was just going to work. He was my boss at the time at the restaurant, and like not even a thought process in my head. But it was just so funny that like our friendship grew so fast. Like he was like the first person who I was so excited to work with every day, just like because I knew he would fucking make me laugh. That was it. He just would make me laugh like nobody else. And his humor isn't like, I think like if you would say something, normal people would be like, okay. But I would be they'd be like, cool.
He's funny to me.
Yeah, he's funny to me. And I would be fucking dying, laughing my ass off. And like, there were moments of like when I was fucking weeded at the bar, or like the shift before me didn't make enough fucking like Bloody Marys or some shit. And like, I just remember like feeling so overwhelmed. I'm just like crying behind the bar.
Oh no, the crying in the restaurant.
Crying in the restaurant. And then he just knew how to talk me off a ledge. And I was like, no one's been able to talk me off a ledge before. Ever. Like, no one's been able to talk me off a ledge and just be able to like, just accept me instead of being like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why the fuck are you crying behind the bar? Like, what are you doing? And like, we would hang out like after work, and like, it was again, it was very, in my eyes, I don't know about him. I'm not speaking for him.
It's very platonic at that point.
100% platonic. At that point, we were just getting to know each other. We were just like, oh, I like hanging out with you. We're fun. We're cool. We're friends. And I've always had a lot of guy friends. Like, it's just, I grew up with boys and stuff. A lot. Like, I was the only girl for a really long time in my family. So like, I just grew up with a lot of guys, and like, it is what it was for me. I didn't even have a second thought. And I think like, I literally still didn't know that he liked me for the like probably a good month into like knowing each other. But then like it was like kind of a weird shift. I can't like literally remember what it was, but I think it was like we were just like we were hanging out one day and like in a group, and I was just like, I don't like anybody else but this guy right here, like in the group setting. You know what I mean? And then like there's just a point where I was like, I just feel like my current like relationship, I'm just like, I started getting that mind shift of like, I don't know if my current relationship is what I want anymore. Like I started to like get on of like, oh wow, like like it was just more of like a comparison, straight up. And like I will be the first one to say this, like I was definitely a comparison thing, because again, how I'm 6+ years, 7 at the time, and now like another person who, gives me more things than I didn't have before in different ways, totally different ways of just being like, oh, like I literally can be myself 100%. Like I was 100, like I didn't have to like do anything that wasn't for me. And he was just like, cool. And I think it was like interesting to share like my hometown with him, because he wasn't from there, and I'd be like, oh, this is all the things that I like used to do growing up, and blah blah blah, and like he was like so down to be like, cool, yeah, let's go see some shit. I don't know, like you know what I mean? But like I think the moment that clicked for us is obviously we broke up with both of us broke up with each other's. his and my, and I broke up with mine, and like I think, and we did that kind of like separately without really knowing like what the next step was for us.
You just like each separately knew like, okay, like I'm into this other person and like probably shouldn't be in this current relationship anymore. It wasn't like, yeah. I get that.
And again, you could see that I was rushing in. Do you know what I mean? Like it was just, it all happened so fast that like the moment where it was actually so funny to me because like it's so hard for me to like it was hard for me to jump from a 6-year relationship into this next one, and like I wasn't completely unhappy in my past relationship, but I really wasn't like unhappy to the point where I'm like, fuck this person. Like I never really got to that point. It was more just like I was seeing myself go in a different direction for a long time, and this other person that I met, Chris, was just, he allowed me to like be like, yeah, cool, this is the direction, let's go. You want to go? Cool, we're going. Like it was very much like, oh, okay, so like I'm not like forced with any resistance here. Like I was very much able to make my own decisions, do whatever I want to do, very supportive, all that good stuff. And I just never, I felt like that's what I needed at the time. And then like the moment where I was like, oh, like let's get together. This is so random. There was a girl who I worked with at True Food, and she was super into tarot cards, super into them. Like she literally got this deck when she was like a kid or something like that. And I don't know if anybody knows anything about like psychics, or I don't know what they call themselves these days, but and like if your deck is drawn to you, like that's your deck. That's always supposed to be your deck. And so she was telling me the whole story about how she got her deck, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, I can do a reading for you. I was like, sure.
Hell yeah.
I was like, let's fucking do it, girlfriend. And literally it like, she was like, you just think of a question in your head, or like think of a kind of a decision that you're trying to make, and I'll read the cards. And like literally she was like flipping every single card, and it literally like was to the point of like exactly what I was going through. And it was just saying like change, faith, brown-haired man. Like it was like very, very specific. And it was like reconciliation, going home, all of this stuff. And I was just like, okay, so like I'm going in the right direction. Whatever the world's trying to tell me, like I'm going in the right direction. Yeah. And then I was like, fuck it. And then I went all in. And then Chris and I really just started like low-key dating. Like he didn't even ask me to be his girlfriend. We were just like hanging out like more often. Obviously now that he was not with his ex and I wasn't with mine, we were just hanging out more often, blah, blah, blah. And then like maybe 2 months later, I ended up moving in to his place because I was living at my parents' house.
Did he like full on ask you to move in, or you just like it just happened naturally? Like you just started bringing your stuff over?
I think he was like, you're kind of here already. Like, why don't you just stay? And then it was like my moral code. Like I didn't have a job. I quit True Food at that point. I quit the restaurant at that point. And like I didn't really have like a position at that, like in between. I was still trying to figure it out. I was doing like odd jobs here and there, and I was like, I'm not gonna move in and like not like contribute to the moving it, like contribute to the rent like that. Ew, no, I'm not doing that. I was like, I'll move in when I get a job. So that it took me like 2 months to get a job, and then I moved in, and then the rest was like history, really. Yeah.
You brought up something earlier that I think it's really interesting that you say it, because I feel like it's a conversation a lot of the time, is like jumping from one relationship to the next and like not giving yourself enough time to do whatever it is you need to do in between. Like it's so interesting because people, and don't get me wrong, like I've even had these thoughts about like people in my life where I'm like, ugh, I just feel like they jump from relationship to relationship and they don't give themselves enough time to figure out what it is they really want and figure out who they really are.
Yeah.
But the thing is that like I truly firmly believe if you are with someone who's right for you, you can have that like self-discovery and exploration with them.
Exactly.
And that's why it's like, to me, I'm like, well, it makes sense that you would go from like, you just kind of knew like that this person was going to allow you to be yourself and to figure out what it was that you liked and what you wanted. And I had, again, moments of that with like my husband, like when we were first dating, of just, again, like you start comparing and you start overthinking of like, did I wait too long? Do I know myself? Like, and I mean, I think it was 5 or 6 years into our relationship when I realized like, oh, I need to kind of like figure out who I am outside of this relationship. But like, I can still do that while being with him. And like, we just had like an open discussion about it.
Yeah, that's a mature relationship and a mature human that you are with, to be able to be like, yeah, like, we can do it. I want you to be happy. Like, let's do it together. Let's find some things that, you know, make you happy that you're not happy with right now. Like that, because we grow. Like you have to understand that, like, you can grow within something. Mm-hmm. You can grow out of something. You can grow into something, like, or through something. Like, there is, the timeline isn't like, because this big moment happened, that's where the change is. That's not true. Mm-hmm. Like, the change can happen like on a continuum.
Yeah, change is like gradual.
Exactly. It doesn't need to be this big moment. You know, it doesn't need to be this big like epiphany.
Yeah.
You know, this thing happened because, you know, like, it doesn't need to be that way.
Yeah. And like, I don't need to break up with my partner because I need to like figure out who I am. Like,
no,
actually.
And
like,
maybe you have to, because that person will allow you to
see, that's
do
the
it.
thing. Like, if the person, so that's a big thing for me. Like, is like in a partnership, like let's talk about values, right? Yeah. Like, I value a partner who will grow and change with me, who wants to always be like a better version of themselves and learn more about themselves, but like together.
Yep.
And like, I could never be with someone who meets that with resistance. Like, if I feel like, you know, I mean, even like I started, I mean, not that I've like never been in therapy before. I have like over the years, but like this last year I started like really hardcore therapy, like just like some deep stuff.
Yeah.
It was like a different kind of therapy. And like that has created all sorts of changes for me personally and in our relationship. But like, my husband is very supportive of that and is, you know, wants me to like figure out what these things are that are like, you know, rooted in me, that have made me, you know, like or dislike certain aspects of my personality even.
Yeah.
And like, that's important, is to have a partner who wants to see you grow and change just as much as you want to grow and change.
Right.
Like, meeting someone with that resistance, okay, then maybe that isn't the relationship for you, because if this is what you truly want and like you want to go on a discovery journey, you know, yeah, it can be hard for your partner, but it's like, there's a way that you can do it together.
Right. Because I mean, ultimately you're trying to get to your happiest point, right? And like, why wouldn't that be beneficial for them as well?
Yeah.
Right. Like, I
like, don't, like, you being happy makes me happy. Like, that's how it should be, really. I mean,
right? And like, same for them. Like, they have to be able to feel like, all right, well, I want to try this out. I want to do this stuff. I want to, whatever. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Like, let's talk about it. Mm-hmm. Let's have an open conversation. Like, is that going to make, what's going on? Is it going to be cool? Like, again, like, it shouldn't, like, that, like, change in a relationship should not be a scary thing. It shouldn't be. And like, I just like hear people say like, my partner says, you've changed. And it's like, so like, but like, why is that a bad thing? And like, what is with the person's change that is making you uncomfortable? Like, what is it? And like, what are they doing that is like truly affecting your well-being? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do think there's instances in which actually, you know, someone does change enough to the point where like it actually isn't working anymore.
Right.
Like, that does happen.
Sure.
But yeah, I think like immediately meeting change with resistance is like, okay, well, maybe you just don't like being uncomfortable. You don't like being in a place of like unknowns, and you really like routine, and you like that this person is like the same exact way. You don't want that to be altered. Okay, well, that's like a bigger discussion for sure. But
yeah, exactly. It's like, I think there's instances of change that are really good, and then I can see that some instances of change are like, whoa, like, I don't see this as a healthy change. Like, let's have a conversation. But again, like, you should be having those open communication lines with your partner. Like, that's just, it does not work without communication, period. And you should not be afraid to communicate your feelings, your thoughts, your whatever at any point in time. There should be open. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The older I get, the more I like when I read stuff or watch a show or a movie, I'll still enjoy it. But I'm like, you know what? This would all have been solved if you just told him how you really felt. If you were just clear in your communication or honest. Like, so much conflict comes from people being afraid of talking about how they really feel.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just basically ruined a whole entire relationship because you weren't being honest. Or like you felt like you couldn't communicate, but it was really like you creating that for yourself.
Yeah, and that's like exactly that. It's like if you don't have that conversation, the only thing that's hurting is you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's worst case scenario it, because this is what my brain does. You have this conversation, you're like, hey, this is going to be really uncomfortable because like, but it's something that's bothering me and I really want to have a conversation about it and I want to see if we can work through this. You have the conversation and that person's like, absolutely not. Like, this is ridiculous. Yada yada. They don't want to have a conversation about it. Like, you have your answer though. Like, in offering up, hey, like, let's talk about the situation. It's making me uncomfortable. Whatever the situation is, uncomfortable situation it is, the way they react to it will give you your answer. Will give you the choice of, okay, I can go this way or I can go this way. Yeah. I'm going to make that decision for myself.
But it's so easy to like, I think maybe not so much for me anymore, but I think when I was younger, it was so easy for me to lose sight of that and forget that the answer is actually right in front of my face just by the way that they reacted to the situation.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Like it's so easy to convince yourself that something else is happening or that it's like your fault and it's on you and you're the person in the wrong. But in reality, it's actually just like the other person just maybe isn't like the person who needs to be in your life anymore. And that goes for like all relationships, like all friendships, family, like romantic partners.
100%. All of it. All of the things that we're talking about now can apply to any relationship.
Yeah.
Literally any.
Yeah.
I think it's and in a lot of people's face when you're like living with somebody and you're there day to day and they're supposed to be a partner in life and through everything that's fucking fucked up and you're just like, let's go. You know?
Yeah.
Like it hurts a little bit more when you're like wanting to build that partnership versus like, oh, family's family. This is that. That's that. Like you can kind of be a little bit more distant to like those types of relationships. But yeah.
So what do you like value in a relationship that is like what's super important for you when it comes to like your significant other and like what you need?
For me, it's like I am like the queen of like changing shit up. And not on purpose. I just happen. Like I get so fucking bored. And I don't know where it comes from. I haven't gotten to that point in therapy. Maybe we'll talk about it this week. I don't know. But like I'm always like the one who's like changing my hair, changing my style, changing the room, changing like the colors of my house, the like stickers on my Kindle. Like I'm always changing shit. And like for some it could be like, whoa, what's happening? What's happening now? Or like,
yo, chill out.
Yeah, like changing my job or like getting like a lot of anxiety from like sitting around and like doing the same shit day in and day out. Like routines actually scare the shit out of me. I don't know why, but it is what it is. And so like having somebody who is stable who can literally right the ship when I'm like in that moment of chaos of just being like, I'm changing everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna change so I feel better. And like, just somebody who's just like, cool, let me know when it's done. And we'll just continue back on the same track. Like he's like, cool, yeah, we're going on an adventure over here. Okay, cool, we're gonna come back. We're going on a little adventure again. We're gonna come back. Like, that's just how it is. And I feel like I've always like craved somebody who's stable and like who they are, what they're doing, financially, like all of those things. Who's like a fairly I mean, not everybody has to be stable all the time, but like just a stable human being where it's like that like chaoticness, if you will, doesn't put them off. If anything, they're like, cool, what's next? Awesome.
Yeah, it's almost like they're like, okay, my life is so consistent. Like, it's nice to have a little bit of a flair.
Yeah, you're like, oh, cool, all right.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, he's super good at like seeing the thread of like me going through those moments. He goes, yeah, this is a cycle. You like to change the color of the living room every 6 months. Like, like he's just so good at like picking up on my patterns and like the things that I do that like it doesn't faze him anymore, anything that I do at this point.
I love that he like states it just as it is.
Yeah.
And is like, okay,
it's cool.
Yeah. Almost like put like what am I trying to say? Kind of like makes you aware of, oh yeah, this is what I'm doing. And like, but that's okay. And you're cool with it. And I'm cool with it.
Yeah. He calls me out on what I'm doing, but like not in a negative way. He's just like, yeah, like you did this 6 months ago. And then you actually did that 6 months ago from there. And then I'm like, oh, did I fucking do that?
Before that?
Yeah, he goes, yeah, it was orange, then it was this, then it was this. And I was like, yeah, you're fucking right. I did do that. And he goes, cool. Well, can't wait for the next color.
I do change the living room every 6 months.
Yeah. And you just like, and that's just like one example that I'm using as like a metaphor. But like, yeah, I just think like having somebody like that who is just like willing to just be able to like right the ship if we need to and like call me on my shit, but also like respectful of like my weird things that I like things that are going on and what have you. Like another example is like I absolutely hate surprises. No. And I don't care how small the surprise is. I do not care. Like
I'm laughing because I agree.
No.
Surprises are the worst.
No, I'm not the right human for a surprise. Like, I would say, like, if you call, like, giving somebody a card a surprise, like, that's not a surprise. I'm just saying, like, a surprise is like, oh, like, I know we weren't planning on anything today, but now we're going to go do this. And I'm like, no. Like, no, I need a plan at least a week out. Like, I already had a plan that I'm going to do, like, my face mask. We're going to sit on the couch. We're going to do this. Like, I had my own internal plans. But now you're fucking up my internal plans, and I don't do that. Or like, oh yeah, like I just did this for you, or I like bought this for you, and I'm just like, I don't like that. Like, I don't like surprise parties. I don't like none of that.
That's so funny. I don't like surprises, but I'm such a little hypocrite because like I love planning a surprise.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah,
I do. I love planning a surprise, but I don't want any surprises of my own.
Right.
I threw my sister's
you want to be 30th. In the know.
Yeah, I did my sister's 30th birthday surprise party. Like helps like plan it and stuff. And immediately after, I was like, no one's ever doing that for me. Absolutely not. Never doing it. I'll plan it. Like super cute. This is great. Don't ever do that for me.
You're like, nope. I don't want anybody to get any ideas.
See this? Never do this.
No. I will be so upset. Don't do this.
I hate a surprise. That's so funny.
What about you? What are some values?
Well, I really value someone who can make me laugh. Like I'm not a funny person.
Yeah.
So I love somebody who's funny because I can just sit there and laugh at everything they have to say.
Yeah.
And every once in a while I'll get a little zinger in there.
Yeah, nice.
Add on to the joke they started. But I'm not a funny person. So I love being around funny people. I value like someone who can make me laugh. I value honesty.
Yeah.
I mean, I like just tell me the truth. It's probably going to hurt more than lying to me, but in the long run it's for the best, you know? Like I value honesty always. Cannot stand a liar.
No.
And like I think for me a lot, so I can be really buttoned up. I have, for better for worse, I have a lot of different versions of myself.
Yeah.
Who I am in a professional setting at work is different from who I am at home, is different from who I am with my family. And I think that just like growing up, I learned to adapt to what other people needed from me.
Sure.
And so I value someone who can like just like take me as I am, because I'm a very chaotic person, really. Like I I overthink everything.
Yeah.
Like I will get myself into a very anxious state thinking about the craziest stuff.
Yeah, right.
Like that will never happen.
Yeah.
But I'm very much a person like, if I think about every single possibility, then when it happens, I can't be surprised.
Yeah.
Like I have to have to,
The
you know,
doomsday. You have to go all through all possible
I don't like
scenarios.
uncertainty. I like to know everything. Like it's like to a point where it's kind of insane. And so I think like I really value someone who can like balance me out and be like, hey, like also let's like ground ourselves here. Let's like think about like what's in the present. And my husband is very much like lives in the present. I don't know how he does it, but like straight up doesn't live in the past, doesn't live in the future, lives in the present at almost 100% of the time. It's kind of insane. And I'm not like that at all.
Yeah.
I'm constantly living in the past and the future and almost never in the present. And so it's like nice to have that balance. I value, I guess I think I'm struggling to figure out like what the like word is that would describe that.
Yeah.
But like he really does balance me out.
Yeah.
And I can be so...
Well, he allows you to feel safe to come out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I value someone who can make me feel safe to be who I truly am.
Right.
And I remember when we first started dating, we went out to this good old place called Valley Bar. And there was like a live band and he wanted to dance. And I was just like, no, like people are watching. There are people around here. I'm not going to dance. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like I was so weirded out by it. I was like, I cannot do this. I was so insecure. And I think, and it's also like kind of insane that like he's stayed with me through all of my like figuring out who I am and figuring out all my insecurities and trying to like overcome them, because that is not an easy thing to be around. This is not an easy, like I'm not an easy person, and like I recognize that, but I'm also like, that's just who I am. That's like and I'm learning to love that part of me.
Right.
But
like he loved that part of you before you could love it for yourself.
Yeah, it's like he was like, you are a goofy person.
Yeah.
Like you are like a little weirdo.
Yeah.
You just like don't want anyone else to see that you are. Like because you think that it's not okay to be yourself.
Right.
And so like I remember I was so like, ew, like I don't want to dance with you. Like no, like I don't dance. And like now it's, you know, we go out and if there's music, we're bopping.
Yeah.
Like we're being weird together.
Yeah.
Like he has like made me come out of my shell in so many ways and like encouraged me to just like be like, he's like, hey, if you are gonna be chaotic, just be chaotic.
Yeah.
Just like be 100% authentically yourself. If you're a chaotic person, okay.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
And so I really value that. Like
Yeah.
he's really helped me come out of my shell in a lot of ways.
That's awesome.
I
I think like a big thread is just like allowing the other person to just be who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I can see how that could be really tough in a lot of scenarios, but I think it's just like that comes with trust.
Mm-hmm.
That comes with like, I trust them that they're going to also keep me in mind with all the things that they're doing. Like they're going to keep like our relationship in mind for all the things that they're doing. Cause like, I can see how they're like, well, it's just me and I'm going to move across the state cause I got a new job, or I'm going to move across the US cause I got a new job.
That was totally me in the beginning of our relationship.
Sorry.
I was like, I'm leaving for 4 months to go travel across the world.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't like that, then bye. Like, I was so hardcore about it. I remember this. I was just like, I will never like change who I am or change my plans or change my career for somebody else. And and I am very much like,
sure,
I still am that way.
Yeah.
A little bit. Like, but I think I learned that, oh, actually, we can have like a very open conversation about this. And like, if it means that, like, there was a point where he almost got this like contract job for like 8 months on the other side of the United States. And I was not going to go live with him.
Yeah.
But that was a conversation that we had of
Right.
like, that doesn't, like, I have all this going for myself and it doesn't work for me to be there with you, but I will not tell you no to something that you want so badly.
Exactly.
Like, I will not tell you no. So like,
Yeah.
we're going to make it work long term. We're going
Right.
to make it work long distance if we need to.
Yeah.
And that was something that I had to learn because I was very much like, I will never change anything for anybody. I'm
Yeah.
going to do whatever the hell I want.
Right.
Like, straight up. I was
Yeah.
hardcore about it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I think you learn that right along the way. It's like, especially when you are not used to being, and I think that's kind of maybe where our experiences are differ a little bit, is because I've only ever thought about the other person in everything I did. And so it was interesting to go to a relationship where I literally didn't actually have to think about the other person all the time. I could choose stuff for me and I'd be like, hey, I'm going to do this. And then I just want to let you know. And he's like, cool.
And like, not have him worry about like, how is this going to change the dynamics, or is she going to forget about me or leave me behind?
Yeah, exactly. And like, I never really had all these, like, I mean, if anything, I was the one who was like, cool, let's do some crazy shit. Like moving, like he moved me out from where I lived in California back here to, to Arizona. And I was just like, yeah, cool, let's fucking go.
Yeah, you left like all your friends and family to come hang out with these weirdos. Like, you really just dove right into it.
Yeah, and that's just who I am. So it was easy for him too. And like, he's just like, cool, you want to come? Yeah, cool, let's come. And like, I think that I can see from a perspective of yours where it's like you wanted your independence so badly. Like you wanted to find yourself so badly in this moment. And like he had to have recognized that you needed that in order for your relationship to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was super supportive of it. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, of course I'll be here and I'll be supporting you. And you know what he did? This guy wrote me a letter for every single day I was gone and sent it with me at the airport. Day one through day whatever. A letter for every single day I was gone. And I was like, whoa.
Oh my
like,
God.
Whoa, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. He was actually going to like propose to me a year into our relationship, and he told my sisters, and I was like, I like freaked out.
Yeah.
Because
you weren't ready. You weren't ready.
I was like,
ready.
You're my first serious relationship. I don't know what I want. Like I said, I for the first 2 years, I had those moments of like, I don't know. And I was just like, I know I don't want to get married right now, but I don't want to break up with him. So can you like encourage him to wait a little bit? And he listened to them and he didn't propose. And then, he waited another like 7 years to do it.
He was like, well, I'm going to be ready now.
Yeah. And like people will say, I see people say all the time, like, if he hasn't proposed by X year, like that's a red flag. Oh, that is so untrue.
Can we stop listening to other people's bullshit? Can we just not?
Like that cannot be the only red flag.
No.
Right? Because actually what it was is that we both recognized that we wanted to be in better places financially and better places professionally, and we really wanted to like work on ourselves separately but like together as a couple. And neither of us were like, after that like first, he was going to propose and then he decided not to because my sisters encouraged him not to. I think he was just kind of like, yeah, okay, like let's figure our stuff out. And it ended up working out so great for us. Like we moved to another state together for a couple of years. We did that. And that really forced us to depend on each other. Like we only had each other and not all of our friends and family. And like that helped us grow in a lot of ways. But yeah, like I people do that all the time. Like 7 years, like wow.
Yeah,
that's
or
a
like,
I'm like
after you get engaged, waiting like 4 or 5 years after you're engaged or some shit like us. And we
waited 2 years.
Yeah, I think
2, almost 3 actually. I think maybe.
Yeah, same. I think almost 3. And it's like y'all don't know. It's just sit down. Like if
that's okay if that's not what you would want.
Correct.
But that doesn't mean that it's wrong for somebody else or that their relationship is like
do not
bad
project that
because
shit
of
on
it.
me. Absolutely not. No. You know what I mean? Like if let's say I was talking to you and was like, oh no, I wish you would propose sooner, or like I wish we could get married sooner, like that's different. But like if I've never fucking told you if I feel a certain type of way about this, I don't need your words. Like we're good.
Yeah.
Like
it's a red flag if you try to have the conversation about marriage and they're super not into it. And even then, it's like some people really do just like they want to be with you, but they don't want to get married. Like I know plenty of people who have relationships like that.
Exactly. And that's a conversation you guys are mutually good with. Like,
and like if it doesn't work for you, okay, like then it doesn't work for you, and that's not a relationship that you should be in. But like people can very happily be together without getting married,
100%.
or like by waiting a really long time. And that's what we did. We waited a very long time, and it worked for us.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you listen to your own relationship, and you listen to what your relationship needs in the moment. Like that's it. Like
there's no like right way to have a relationship.
No.
But the big thing is that like you really do have to ask yourself, like, am I happy?
Yeah.
And it is kind of a loaded question because you can be happy in a relationship but not like with the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I've had those moments for sure where I've been like, dude, like the rest of my life feels like it's falling apart a little bit, but like my relationship is good.
Yeah.
Like he's here for me, you know?
Yeah.
And earlier you were saying that you love change. I am like not a huge, I like change to a degree.
Yeah.
I like to change my hair. I like to change my style, but like, it's funny because I was complaining very recently to my husband about change and about how I was like, I feel like the last like freaking 5 years or something, like all these big things keep happening and I just want it to like stay the same for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to like have some consistency.
Yeah.
And like he pointed out that, you know, that's just like also not how we live our lives though. Like we live our lives in such a way that we're always in search for something more and something new, and we want to be better people and we want to grow, and that will always bring big change.
Right.
I was like, well, maybe I need to like change my personality a little bit because like this is too much.
You're like,
no, but it's true. It's so true.
The way I'm reacting to all this stuff.
Yeah. Maybe I need to like, I don't know, become somebody who's like less likely to attract change. No. But it is like, and you know, I complained about it, but it's actually like all the changes have been for the better and have like, you know, and growth can be uncomfortable. And I think like that's where I struggle.
Yeah.
But it was funny that you were saying that because I was like, oh, I'm so like in some ways I'm such the opposite.
Yeah.
Like, and
but when it can definitely be too much. It can definitely be too much, and you're just like, whoa, we got to just
pump the brakes,
it down. Whoa, we need to go to a snail's pace. We got to turn this dial down.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think you go through that with relationships in general. Like you're gonna run into new scenarios every time. Like you're gonna be like, oh, we haven't encountered this before. Let's see how we're gonna work through it. And like you have to be open-minded of like what's gonna happen, and like really just like, okay, let's see what's gonna happen. Like how I'm gonna like there's so many things that, especially, I mean, we're still very young, and regardless that we've been in relationships for 10 plus 7 8, I don't know, one of those.
I'm 9.
Okay,
You're 7.
I think it's 7.
I don't know.
Sorry.
Close enough.
I don't know. When it gets past 5, you stop counting. And so like there's always, and even so, like we've been together each other's for a long time. It's like you're always going to get yourself in a situation that you guys have never been in before. And like there's always gonna be those moments to like continue to learn about each other and continue to learn, okay, in this scenario, how are they gonna react? In this scenario, what are we gonna do together? What do they need? What do I need? Etc.
Yeah,
like,
that's so true.
you have to continue to learn, and you have to continue to, like what they say, date your partner and like learn your partner. Like you have to continuously. Yeah. You can know a lot about your partner, but you still don't know how they're gonna react in situations that you've never been in before.
Exactly. Like I know. So like John Luke's grandparents passed away before we were together. I never met them. Yeah. I had never really experienced like loss of somebody who was like my family.
Right.
And when my grandpa passed away, like we had to figure, like he had to figure out like how does Jamie grieve? Yeah. And I had to figure out like how do I grieve like in the presence of my husband and like within our relationship, you know, like he found out real fast that I'll just pretend it's not happening.
Yeah.
I'll pretend it's not happening, and then I'll cry in the middle of the night. And you'll wake up to me crying in the middle of the night because I don't know how to talk about it. I don't know how to process those emotions.
Yeah. And he's probably like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
But at
like,
the same time, he's like, okay, I understand.
Yeah. Like we had to figure that out. Yeah. And like, I think that like he grieves differently from me. And even then it's like I've only ever like experienced that, like his grief of like putting an animal down, you know, that we like shared together. And like, and he is like, whereas I'm super closed off when I'm grieving, he's very like open and like, you know, wants to talk about it and wants to like be with each other. And I'm like, leave me alone for like 2 weeks, please.
Yeah.
Like, but then you have to figure that out together because you
do.
both need different things, and it's not fair to be like, well, I can't handle this right now, and I know this is what you need, but I can't give that to you. Like, there are times, of course, where like, it's gonna happen and it's gonna be tough, but like those things will always pop up. It will always be like a new situation where you realize, oh, we haven't gone through that together.
Yeah, exactly. And that, I think it's interesting when, you know, relationships are tough in that way of like, you think it's all going to stay the same and that the trajectory is going to go like this, but it's not, it can't. It is like a proverbial roller coaster. Mm-hmm. It's a fun ride, but there are so many emotions that come with it, and like dealing with another person's emotions and yourself and working together. Like it's very complicated. Mm-hmm. It's very complicated.
Yeah. I think like an easy way to like encompass like what it's like to be in a healthy relationship is like your partner isn't always going to agree with everything that you do and everything that you say. Like they're not always going to support those things. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But like overall they should be supporting like you as a person. Like they should be cool with like you as a person and who you are.
Yeah.
Maybe not cool with everything you do and say. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
But with who you are, they should be cool with that.
Yeah. They need to seek understanding without like just like trying to understand where you're coming from. Like they don't have to agree. Mm-hmm. They just need to understand like where's it coming from, what's going on. Like be curious about the things that you're bringing up or the things that you're saying instead of like being like, oh, well, like, you know, whatever that is.
Yeah. And if like there's something about who you are that is actually negatively affecting them, like then there needs to be communication around that too.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Communication is a big one.
Communication, knowing each other's values, like the whole like love language thing is very interesting to me.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like I don't know how true it really is in my experience.
Okay.
Like, I think that like I can tell you what my love language is and I can tell you probably what his love language is, but at the same time like I'm like
I feel like it's pretty fluid. I think that like some people are like very like this is exactly what it is, and for me I'm like yes, and I sometimes feel like I have more than one love language.
Yeah,
you know, like I am a gift giver.
Yeah.
But I'm also like a words of affirmation kind of person.
Yeah.
And like for me, you know, like it's like like how I give that stuff and like how I receive is very different. And I think there's just like it's very layered. Like it's not so simple as like this is my love language.
Yeah, like I'm gonna take a quiz and that's who I am. It's like no, it is so layered, and it could layer by situation too. Mm-hmm. Like you could be like what is it, physical touch or something like that? Is that one? But like not in front of family, right? Like I want physical touch at home, but not in front of family or PDA. But you like that's again, you could still have that as your love language, but it doesn't apply everywhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's like I think as a partner, I'd be confused, be like, oh, I thought physical touch was your love language, so here I am physically touching you. Like anywhere that I
feeling you up at the family gathering.
Hey, you know, because I think that's what you love, and I'm trying to tell you I love you.
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh, ew, ick, right? And like I get, so that's why I'm just like, I feel like
I think it's a good place to start. It's a good place to start, but it's not something that you can always just like fully rely on because it also changes. I used to not be a physical touch person at all.
Yeah.
My husband is a physical touch person.
Yeah.
And I've learned over the years to like accept that more.
Yeah.
And to give like physical touch more, like even just like a hand on the shoulder or like literally just like very small things. But I just wasn't like, my family didn't even really like hug each other growing up. We're not like a physically affectionate family at all.
Yeah.
It was very weird for me to get used to that. But again, it's like part of the like growing and changing and like getting used to who the other person is and respecting what their needs are.
Totally. And I think even like in a relationship, your love languages change. Like when you're reacting to a person, like I think my love languages in my previous relationship were way different than the relationship I am in now, because I'm fulfilled in some areas that I wasn't in before, and now, and like, and vice versa. Like, you know, I think I was really physical touch in my previous relationship, but now I'm not so much. Like now I'm like acts of service. Like if he cleans up my stuff and puts it in another room, I'm like, oh, thanks. You know. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh man, that's so sweet.
Yeah, thanks for putting the dishes away. Like,
yeah,
those are the types of things, because like I can recognize those things now, and like I'm not necessarily like I need to be fucking slapped in the ass all the time. You know, like it's just different.
Yeah,
you know, it's so different.
It's so different.
Yeah, and I think it's okay to change, and I think it's totally fine.
Yeah, your needs are gonna change.
Yes,
as you get older and as you like. Become a new version of yourself, like your needs are going to change.
100%.
Yeah, I love acts of service. Ugh. I remember one day I was just like talking to my friend. I was like, you know what? I honestly don't think that anybody else could deal with my ass. Like, this guy brings me an espresso in bed in the morning almost every single day. Makes me dinner because I can't cook, that's for sure.
True.
Like, makes me dinner almost every single night.
Yeah.
Does a bunch of the chores around the house, like, will, you know, pick me up from the airport with flowers. He made me a handmade card for Valentine's Day.
I've seen it in person, y'all. I've seen this in person.
Handmade card. I was like, that's insane.
Literally,
like,
I've seen him, like, you know, you have to literally park, get out of your car, make the walk to the gate entrance. And I've seen it, and I was like, hey, what's going on, buddy? Like, what are you doing here? And she goes, this is what happens. I was like,
I'm picking her up.
Yeah. Okay. I'm like, oh, sick, bro. Okay, I'm gonna go take the train and get in my own car, and then I'm gonna go home. But like,
but yeah, like but that's the thing. Like I catch myself feeling kind of bad sometimes because that doesn't come easy to me. That's not something that I would think to do, but it's something that I have like learned. Like, oh, like acts of service. It's not like every man for himself in this house. Right. Oh, I thought it was, but like, okay, I'm learning. Yeah, I'm learning to like, you know, do that. It's still growing and changing.
Exactly. And like, I think I'm still recognizing things that he does that I'm like, oh, you're doing that because got it.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm on board.
Like, you know? You're cleaning up my stuff and putting it in the room, in the other room as like a kind gesture versus like, get this the hell out of my space.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm cleaning this up because you left your fucking shit everywhere. And it's like, no,
it's actually like he cares and he's like trying to do something kind for you. And you're like, it's cool that you like, you recognize, oh, that's why they're doing it.
Yeah, and then sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do the laundry today. And I'm like, look at me, I did the laundry. Like, hey. Win for me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So, it's so funny.
Yeah. Relationships, yeah. We got some good guys.
We do.
They came from a good family.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They did.
They were raised by amazing women who really taught them all the things they needed to know to support our crazy asses.
100%. 100%. And dads are great too.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, their dads are great too. They just literally straight up come from a very great family. They do. So we got lucky.
We did.
We got lucky. We bagged some good ones.
Yeah. Except we did. We're like,
snatched you.
Snatched you. Or tarot card you. I don't know. And then in your case.
You did some witch magic.
Yes. Wherever she is, thank you. Wherever she is. Witch magic.
Yeah. She really set you up for success there.
Damn, I don't know.
That's because you just said yes. You said yes to
the energy
and the reading, and you were like, okay, this is the thing for me.
And that's how I interpreted the reading. I mean, you could interpret that shit 100 different ways.
Yeah.
That's how I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you listen to your gut.
Yes. Trust yourself. Trust the person. Communicate. Change is good.
Yeah. Okay, y'all, what makes your relationship so great? Please tell us. Yeah. Love to hear it. I love to hear like why your partner is like the person for you.
Yes. We love to hear that. After, you know, I think that we can kind of get in our heads a little bit about like the negatives about, you know, and all the like the hardships. Let's talk about the positives.
Yeah.
What's the good shit? I want to hear the good shit.
Yeah. What's the great thing about your partner or your relationship that like works for you and is just like,
Yeah.
they're the one.
Yep. That one's a good one.
Yes. Okay, tell us please.
Yes.
overthinkingoutloud.pod@gmail.com or just like comment on our videos
comment
that we
it.
post.
We're always looking. Always looking. You can DM us, whatever.
always creeping.
Always be creeping.
All right, see you next time.
Bye.